Good morning, boys. How are you this morning? All right. Today we're going to summarize what we've been doing the whole term. Remember, our first week of third term, I did highlight to you the topics that we are going to cover as usual. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to prepare you for the end of test that we're going to write on the 12th of September. You guys must be ready. So now I'm going to prepare you for that test. Right, the topics that I gave you, you remember very well. I'm going to repeat again to you so that you can recap on your own when you're at home, when you've got your spare time. Remember, in everything that you do, you need to have time that you prepare yourself. You cannot just barge into an examination room without preparing. So end of term test needs thorough preparation. So I'm going to go through the topics which I gave you the first week of third term when we opened. Right, let me start here. These are the topics that I gave you at the beginning of the term, so that you guys can go through, that we are going to follow when I teach you our theory, even though we are going to incorporate our practical. Right, there are 7 topics which I gave you, if you remember very well, that we said we are going to cover in third term. Our first topic, I highlighted to you about measuring. Right, in every project that you do, you must know that measuring is going to be incorporated. What is it that you need to master when it comes to measuring? You need to know the standard unit that we use in engineering. As usual, I'm always highlighting to you that we use millimeters as our standard unit in welding. Actually, in engineering, we use millimeters in everything that we measure. Right? You are not supposed to use any unit. You don't use rands or dollars or kilometers or meters when we are measuring in an engineering workshop. I'm either talking in welding, in motor, in woodwork. All the technical subjects, they use millimeters as our standard unit for measuring. Then meaning to say you must know how to use measuring instruments. I'm talking about steel rule, tape measure, vernier caliper, micrometer. But for your level, we are going to concentrate on a tape measure and a steel rule. So in case you are given measurements that you need to measure, each and every reading that you must write on your transcript, you must have millimeters in front, not dollars or centimeters or kilometers. Okay. And then our second topic, we spoke about arc welding. Even though we've got different types of welding, but for you, you need to concentrate on arc welding. You need to master an arc welding machine. What is it that you need to master in an arc welding machine? You need to know the different parts of an arc welding machine. Right, you need to know the uses of each part in an arc welding machine. You need to know how to adjust the current when you are welding vis-a-vis the thickness of a piece that you are welding. So in general, arc welding machine, you need to know it in and out. You need to know it even if when you are asleep. You must remember an arc welding machine. No matter what, you are going to come across a person which will require you to do one or two things in regards to an arc welding machine. Okay, and then the next topic that we discussed in our first week of third term, we spoke about the welding techniques. Remember, welding involves you to have a skill. You need to have a technique on how to weld. Right? You need to know how to hold your electrode holder. You need to know how to position yourself when you are working. Like for instance, in akimbo. You know, I did explain in akimbo, right? Let me write here, akimbo, way of standing, right? Whereby your left leg is in front and then your right leg is behind, whereby you balance yourself. But nevertheless, you need to know the movement when you're holding an electrode. You need to weld upwards, you need to weld downwards, you need to weld horizontal. You need to know those 3 different techniques that are violated to you, and you need to explain them and the advantages. Okay, and then our next topic that you must also take time to look at it. You guys, you remember we spoke about the oxyacetylene equipment, right? I'm not going to broaden that one so much because it has got a lot of aspects. And oxyacetylene equipment, I told you, it's a combination of oxygen and acetylene. Which one is flammable? Acetylene is flammable. Oxygen is not flammable. It just supports combustion. It makes the flame stronger. Okay? And then you need to know the different colors within those two cylinders. Oxygen is black. And then acetylene is maroon. Okay? And then you need to know the different colors of those hoses. Right? Once you master those few things, then you are okay with the oxyacetylene. But nevertheless, you need to know also the parts. You need to know the gauges. You need to know the types of flames. How do you adjust acetylene? How do you adjust oxygen? What is the proportion between oxygen and acetylene? If you need to have like a heating flame, you understand? So those proportions, you need to know them. But what I want you to know the different types of flames. If there's more oxygen and less acetylene, what kind of flame is that? Is it an oxidizing flame? You need to know all those things. So it is upon you to get home, to get your workbook, and look at the oxyacetylene equipment. Right? You also need to know the procedures or the steps of operating an oxyacetylene machine. Right? Are you supposed to open oxygen for you to light a flame, or you need to open acetylene first? You need to know those steps. If you are going to start with acetylene, then it means you are going to have a flame, because we said acetylene is flammable. If you are going to start with the oxygen, you can open oxygen the way you want, but it will never light up, because we said oxygen is not flammable. It's there to support combustion. It's there to make the flame stronger. That is all about oxyacetylene equipment. Know the parts of an oxyacetylene equipment. Right. Our next topic, you need to look at the MIG. The MIG, we can also call it CO2. It's another type of welding machine that we use in our workshop. And I did explain to you the advantages of CO2. You know, it's very smart and it produces good welds. And then it's a current form of welding. Most of the companies, they are now moving away from arc welding. They are now reverting into CO2 or MIG welding. So you need to know the MIG or CO2 welding equipment. You need to identify the gauges. You need to identify the accessories. I'm talking about the nozzles. You need to identify how the wire revolves around the machine. You need to know how to adjust the gas which drives the mechanism which pushes the wire out. You need to know how to clean the nozzle. You need to know how to set up your workpiece when you are using CO2 machine. So that is what you are supposed to master when it comes to the CO2 or the MIG welding machine. Our next, which is the sixth topic, that one you are not going to we are not going to dwell too much on it, because you at your level you are not in that position whereby you need to do testing of a joint. But I did highlight to you to say, how do you determine whether a joint is strong or it's weak? I spoke about using the blue spray. I spoke about dropping your workpiece. If your workpiece is thrown on the ground and then it cracks or it breaks, it means your welding is too weak. Then how do you make your weld stronger? I spoke about the current. I spoke about the thickness of the work. I spoke about the gap between the two pieces that you are joining. Those three factors, they affect the strongness of a weld. So those three aspects that I've highlighted to you, when you get to the exam, those three aspects, they must be in your head. Otherwise, you are going to see darkness when you are sitting alone there. You are going to struggle because I won't be available. Maybe the lady teachers like Memfisah or Fikat or Memfuri will be there. They won't be in a position to assist you. And you know, when you are sitting in the exam room, you must be alone. Our final topic that you must prepare yourself. We might talk about all those other 6 topics that I've highlighted, but the main one is all about health and safety. In every process that you do in the workshop, you must think about yourself. You must think about your neighbor. You must think about the equipment. You must think about the building. So, OSH Act is supposed to be applied. You know, we did explain what is OSH Act. You need to apply that one. You know, the OSH Act, how it safeguards our safety in the workshop. I said it's a policy whereby us as a school or as a department, we provide you with PPE, PPE things like gloves, safety goggles, safety boots, earmuffs, earplugs to protect yourself. So whenever you are in the workshop, think about the safety of yourself first. If I'm going to have a shortcut, am I not going to injure myself? Am I not going to injure my neighbor here? Am I not going to destroy the machine that I'm using? Am I not going to destroy the building that I'm in? So the OSH Act safeguards us to be safe in a working environment. So health and safety, no matter what, it's a priority. It's a non-negotiable topic in everything that you do in the workshop. You mustn't take shortcuts. You need to follow the procedures. The longer you take, the safer you are. So health and safety is another topic that you must know, the rules of the workshop. And safe acts, those are the things that you must know. When you go to the exam room, that topic must be in your head. Otherwise, you'll see flames there. No one is going to assist you. Right, boys? What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to run through to summarize what I've just spoken to you. Here we are. These are some of, here we are. Your learning paper, page 1, you need to go through that. You need to go through the arc welding machine. You need to go through the accessories. You need to know all those other tools that you use when you are arc welding. Right? Let me quickly run on that one. And then you need to know PPE, the tools that, the equipment that you must use when you are welding. You need to know the helmet, the dust coats, the leather gloves, safety boots. These are some of the equipment that you need to use. PPE, personal protective equipment. You need to know that. You need to read that, go through that when you get home, when you've got spare time. Okay. Then let me quickly run on the arc welding machine. There's an arc welding machine, right? You need to know the electrodes, the uses of an electrode. You don't need to know the scientific part of an electrode, but you need just to know how an electrode looks like, you know, how to hold these things like that. There is an arc welding machine. You need to know the parts. You need to state the uses of each part in a arc welding machine. Okay? There I'm just running quickly for you, right? I'm not going to be slow in this case. There you need to also know the techniques. How to stand when you are welding, how to hold in arc welding, an electrode holder. You need to know forearm welding. You need to know backward welding, like vertical, horizontal technique of welding. You need to know that. The diagrams are in your workbook, so visit your workbook. It is going to assist you in regards to the preparation of your end of term test. You need to know how to prepare your work when you're welding. If you want to weld 2 pieces, what are the steps that you need to follow? The steps, they've been highlighted. You need to visit your workbook. Everything is there. I cannot spoon feed you guys. You are now adults. You are now above 15 years, most of you. So it is your responsibility to consult your workbook. If you are going to prepare for your test, if you want to do better, if you want to excel in your test, get time, lock yourself in a room. Right, there you are. I'm just showing you a few things. I'm not giving you answers here, so don't come in an exam and then you did not read. You just crammed stuff. You need to know stuff. You don't need to cram. Otherwise, the waiting, it will give you a tough time when you're there. Okay, you need to know the oxyacetylene equipment, all those parts. Here we are. I'm just running this. This is your learning paper. You are going to get one a few days before you write, or a few weeks before you write. Next week, Monday, I'll give you a learning paper, and then you can go and prepare yourself. Different types of torches, oxyacetylene cylinders, acetylene cylinder, oxygen, some of the stuff that you need to use when you are operating or when you are using an oxyacetylene machine, like the spark lighter. You need to have the nozzle cleaners. You need to know, all those things. So get time, and then you can prepare yourself. Okay. Then here we are, the different types of flames. We've got the oxidizing flame, neutral flame. There are 3 types of flames. You need to know the steps of lighting the oxyacetylene equipment. Everything is there in your workbook, right? So here is a diagram of a CO2 machine. You can even call it a MIG if you want to be scientific. If you want to show some learners that you know what you're talking about, you can even say MIG or CO2. There is a drawing of a CO2 machine, right? You need to have the cylinder, you need to have the machine, you need to have a wire inside, right? What is the purpose of the cylinder? What is the purpose of the gas? You must know that the gas pushes the wire out. There you've got the earth clamp. You need to know all those things, okay? But if you visit your workbook, you are going to be fine. And then, obviously, you need to know the different types of joints. You need to know the butt joint. You need to know the butt joint, corner joint, and so forth. Right? You also need to know the defects of welding. What causes defects when you're welding? It's either your two pieces. Maybe there's oil inside. There's airspace in between the two pieces. And then maybe you've got undercut, lack of fusion. Maybe you did not adjust your machine. So the penetration of the weld is not enough. Your weld is only on top, hence your joint is not going to be strong. Maybe there's an accumulation of slag in between your two pieces that you're welding. Maybe your piece has got cracks inside. There's porosity. I'm talking about rust within your two pieces. Hence that will affect the strength of the joint. So all these things, they're in your workbook. So what I can say in short, go and consult your workbook, visit all the exercises that have been giving you throughout the term, revise your work, your workbook, your exercises, even take some of your past exam papers that you've been writing in your year 2 or year 3 first term and second term. They will guide you in answering some of the questions that you are going to come across. Because some of these questions is just a repetition because the content is the same. You can call a ball pen hammer in year 1. It is still a ball pen hammer in year 2. It is going to be still a ball pen hammer when you get to year 4. A CO2 machine is a CO2 machine when you're in year 1. It is going to be a CO2 machine when you're in year 4. So it's just a repetition. The content is the same, even though we change the levels. The abstract now differs. Right, boys, in short, I think I've given you enough. I'm hoping that you're going to represent yourselves in the exam room, and you're going to give me a memorandum. I wish you the best. I want all of you to pass, and I'm hoping that everyone is going to excel. In short, thank you very much. I'll see you when I'm now marking your scripts. Bye-bye. Enjoy.